Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/EntitledKarens. In today's episode, EM thinks I, the delivery driver, should tip her. Ex-friend lied about being homeless to mooch off my family no cost and still complained it wasn't enough. Obliviously entitled. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. EM thinks I, the delivery driver, should tip her. I am a delivery driver for major food delivery company in major college town in Texas where everyone loves maroon. Normally, it's not bad, pays pretty well, and customers are generally fine, though you'll always have idiots in every service job. This, however, surpassed anything I'd ever experienced before. I get an order alert on my phone, relatively simple but expensive order. We drivers love expensive orders, from a restaurant nearby. In the portion for delivery instructions, the customer explains that I need to call her once I arrive, as ringing the doorbell, as I normally do, would disturb her autistic son. Okay, no problem at all. I received therapy for sensory issues when I was a kid, so I'm going to be even more sympathetic to that than the average person. I receive the order and drive over to the house, nice part of town, and give the customer a call. Younger woman answers, tells me to come up to the door. I do so, and enter the EM, who, strangely, was fairly attractive and did not have the typical Karen haircut. EM equals enraged marmalade, me equals the muffin man, NSL equals nice support lady. Me, here's your order ma'am, is there anything else I can help you with today? EM, yes. My son is autistic, and people like you don't understand how difficult it is to raise him. I shouldn't have to pay this much for food. Can you give me a discount? Me, baffled, I'm sorry ma'am, but the app calculates your order total, not me. It's already been paid for. The EM did not like that answer. Her face changed from a smug smirk into a snarl. I suppose I didn't realize how ridiculous the idea that people pay for their own food is. EM, well, why don't you pay for it then? I'm not sure if you heard, but my son is autistic, and it's your fault that he's still hungry. Me, I'm sorry ma'am, but that goes against our policy. If I paid for your order, I'd probably be fired. EM, good. You're a useless driver anyway, you're disgusting. My son is starving to death. Since I've had to go through so much trouble with you, you should tip me. My app has a setting that, while you're in the process of taking an order to a customer, they'll assign you another one at the same time if there's activity. Thankfully, this saved me here. Me, can't do that ma'am. Here's your order. I dropped the food gently on the ground between us and jogged back to my car. She was shouting something unintelligible, so much for not disturbing her autistic son, but I couldn't make out what she was saying. Unsurprisingly, she gave me a 1-star review, you tip online, so I got a small tip. I contacted support about it the next day. Me, yeah, I had a crazy lady yesterday, started demanding that I pay for her order, and even that I tip her. Really rude, not sure what the deal was. Oh, I knew what the deal was, that's why I'm here. NSL, which order was it? Me, it was, order number, address. NSL, yikes, you're the third person to complain about her. 1 or 2, we take with a grain of salt, but 3, you're probably out. I'll try to get her deactivated. If so, her review will be off your record. Me, thanks. Appreciate it. I feel like the entire world is better off now that she won't get deliveries from us anymore, but was the cost worth it? That remains to be seen. I kinda think her son wasn't autistic. I had a mild heart attack when I logged on and my karma jumped this much. Aslo spent 5 minutes thinking of a way to say this without sounding like a thought. Seriously, I feel like people throw that around to get special treatment and it makes it so much harder for actual autistic people to be understood. Let's say he is autistic. Using your child's disability to your advantage is just disgusting. I get so angry about stuff like that because I really am autistic, and you know what? I still can pay for my food and wait if I am brave enough to order stuff. Should have paid for her kid's food. He's handicapped. And pay for his schooling. And for his first date. And wedding. Sheesh. You're so cheap, lol. Or just become their unpaid personal slave that pays for everything and can do all the chores in the household in return. Major college town in Texas where everyone loves maroon. If she was obviously a student or former student, you should have hit her with, "Sorry ma'am, can't do it because an Aggie does not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. It's your fault that he's hungry." When she realizes that you've been sneaking into her son's room every night and pumping his stomach. So, is the review off your record now? Anyone else notice that she basically used her son's handicap to her benefit? That's called bad parenting, if you ask me. Entitled parents and bad parents go hand in hand. DD, here's your order, ma'am. EM, it's your fault my son has autism. He's hungry. I shouldn't pay, you should. Give me a discount. I don't care if you get fired and just tip me. Translation from entitlement, I'll most likely lie about my child to get money and free food. Also screech until I get my way. Oh hey, that's the same college town I worked as a delivery driver in for 3 years. Yeah, west of Highway 6 you're usually delivering to college students who don't tip that well because they're broke but are friendly because you brought them pizza and they're stoned, while east of 6, you're delivering to upper middle class families who tip better but somehow still often believe that all pizza places had a 30-minute guarantee even though only Domino's did that and they had to stop after one of their drivers killed someone. Ex-friend lied about being homeless to mooch off my family no cost and still complained it wasn't enough. When I was still in high school I met Amy 18F at the time, fake name, we went to a therapeutic school, I have severe anxiety. We became friends and she was really cool at first, kinda badass rock chick. I've had issues enabling mistreatment before, and I definitely let her get away with too much and made too many excuses. So she told me about her home life. She said her mom was abusive and going to kick her out and she had nowhere else to go. Either the streets or a shelter, so I convinced my parents to let her live with us for the time being. That was a mistake. She lived with us rent-free, all expenses, food, and anything else she needed, paid for by my parents. My dad was giving her driving lessons, my mom was teaching her to cook. My parents were helping her with paperwork. When my mom would ask her to help with chores she'd complain. She was sleeping in my mom's office, only free space, and she had to clean up if my mom had clients, which wasn't super often. Amy would call my mom a B*TCH, and say she wished she had an actual room and how unfair it is. She literally told me she was disappointed because she thought my parents should be doing more for her. Then we met her mom. Her mom was so nice. I expected a fire-breathing demon with how Amy described her. Amy would scream at her constantly, would throw things at her. And her mom blamed herself for Amy's behavior. Her mom offered to give Amy money to help pay for stuff, but Amy refused, saying she didn't want to take anything from her because she didn't need her help. Which is funny because girl was broke, jobless, and only financially exploited people she wasn't related to. I'm autistic and I need my space, and Amy always wanted to be around me. She'd get angry and hurt if I said I needed alone time. She even said she wanted to sleep in my bed every night. She'd make comments on my eating habits, I'm not unhealthy, just not strict. She'd tell me I was going to get cancer because I'd sleep with my phone on my bed. She didn't understand how to make a salad, and when I tried to teach her, it's a salad, I feel like it's straightforward TBH, she Karen screeched at me and stormed away. She SH in my room and got blood on my friend's stuff. My other friend was staying with me too, she also ate a lot. She had a lot of specific foods she ate. Like expensive alternative foods. And my mom would pay for it. She complained that my mom got the wrong oat milk for her, The one she wanted was like $12, even though she's not intolerant, she just wants oat milk. I struggle with SH2 and not to sound weird, but mine is really bad. I'm trying to get clean, but I'd go deep. She tried to compare me having to go to the ER for mine to hers, which sometimes didn't even bleed. She'd show hers off to me even though I'd get triggered. Anytime I was struggling, she was struggling worse. Also, her mom was never going to kick her out. Amy lied about that. She didn't like the rules her mom had, so she wanted to leave. My house also has rules, so she didn't like it here either. I have so many other stories about her entitlement if anyone wants to hear. It took 3 months for my parents to kick her out. All this in only 3 months. And yes, I'd love to hear more stories. I had a friend do something similar. Alleged abuse, so we let her stay in my room and she was complaining that we didn't buy name brand products. It was all fabricated. This was after we stopped being friends, but a mutual acquaintance told me about this. So she's invited to one of her friends' birthday parties. She gets there, drinks a lot, and gets belligerent and rude. She did something that really upset the birthday girl, and the birthday girl says, "Hey, you have to go. I have a friend who can drive you back home." Amy freaks out and starts bawling about how much she was looking forward to this party and how could birthday girl do that to her. She said she didn't eat all day just for this party. Birthday girl is having none of it and asks her friend to take her home. Now Amy isn't very attractive physically or emotionally, and the person driving her home is a man. Amy has a history of thinking people want her when they don't. Another couple stories for another time. She later messages birthday girl, "How dare you do that to me? Do you realize what can happen when a girl is drunk and alone with a guy? How could you?" Keep in mind, Amy doesn't have a history of that kind of trauma. In fact, at that point in her life she still has her cherry. Not for lack of trying, for lack of interest from people she's tried to get with. She ended up making a weird passive-aggressive snap story calling fake friends out. There are always people that will take advantage of us. It's a good life lesson when you are young, so you can be more aware when you get older. It happened to be when I was 21. Now I know what to look for and I never let things get too far. I don't need people like that in my life, and I don't think you do either. Are you also 33, and is Amy a fake name? Cause I had an Amy too, except her name was literally Amy. LOL. My mom has social anxiety, so my friends never came over, but this all sounds so familiar. Amy is a fake name. Her name is fairly unique and I don't want this coming back to me. It was years ago, so I just wanted to tell a story, you know? Obliviously entitled. Backstory: once a year we have a major marathon that gets run through the area I live in. People from all around the world will enter and run this race. My family will often host people in their home, whether they are family, friends, or friend of friends running the race. I grew up with this, and it was always so fun and created such festivity. My mom's friends, Sally, sister, Edith, popped my mom a message via Facebook Messenger in January asking if my folks would be happy to host her daughter and son-in-law for the weekend so that he could run the marathon. My mom said yes and thought nothing much of it. About 3 weeks ago, my dad got a call from the son-in-law, Sam. Sam said he knows Edith spoke to my mom about him and his wife staying over marathon weekend. Unfortunately, his wife won't be able to get off from work, so will just be him, his brother, brother's wife, and brother's 2 kids. And he hoped that was okay. My sweet dad didn't know what to say, assumed my mom knew, kind of felt booby-trapped, and said yes to it all. Dad got home, told mom. My mom almost had a fit because now not only is she hosting someone she really doesn't know, but he's invited his whole family for 3 nights. Rooms were now having to be designated and created because my family didn't have enough space. Sam was given the lounge with a mattress on floor, and Sam's brother's family had the only spare room. In amongst all this prep, my mom said they can't cater for so many people for a whole weekend. My 2 sisters still live at home, as well as one of my sister's best friends was staying with them as she is moving and had to move out her apartment this weekend. My mom tried to make a subtle hint at them contributing to meals by saying, "What should we all do for dinners in the evening?" She should have been more direct. People responded with, "Don't worry, chicken and rice will be good for us." The impending arrival day comes. My folks suddenly get told that Sam and his family will be arriving in 2 cars they never asked beforehand. My folks live somewhere where there is very limited parking and it's not the safest to leave your vehicle overnight in the on-street parking. So my parents had to take 2 cars off their property and come park them at my house. In all of this, it comes out brother's wife doesn't feel like driving down to the end of the race, just over an hour drive from where we live, to fetch Sam and brother after running, so they ask my dad. Thank goodness my dad said no, he was already having to take them to the start of the race. The entire stay was a disaster. It was as if they all came down for a free holiday and my family was their hosts. They expected my family to cook for them, not once did they offer to contribute to food, or help when prepping a meal, nor did they tidy up. They would sit around and watch my family cook and clean up. They would leave crumbs all over the counters and dirty dishes and plates. The kids were incredibly sick, to the point that my mom said they should never have traveled with them. The kids were also terrified of my sister's dog and would scream if the dog came near them. My sister's dog is used to living in the house and a 6-month-old lanky pup. My family were left to constantly trying to create fences in areas to separate the kids and dog. All of their clothes, towels, blankets, toys, stuff, etc. were just left lying all over their rooms and spilling out into the rest of the house. When it was time to bath, they would leave the bath to run/use up all the hot water. One day my mom actually went to turn the water off, because brother's wife had just disappeared to her room after leaving the water flowing full force. One night my family were only able to bath after 10 p.m. Sam went to bath first and my mom asked him to be aware we were in the middle of a load shed. I just gave away my location. Because our infrastructure has not been well maintained, we all on a rotation of having 2 hours of no power a day. This can happen a couple times a day. Anyway, Sam still used up all the water. Everyone had to wait for power to come back on and then another hour for the geyser to heat the water again. Again, my mom said to brother and brother's wife not to use all the hot water as my family still wanted to shower/bath. Well, again, they used another geyser full of water. And no, it's not like my parents' geyser is too small. They have hosted people many times before and never had this issue before. Finally today, at 9 a.m. my parents said they need to go as my folks needed to go out to town. They literally kicked them out today. People's response, "Oh gosh, we never realized the time, I guess we should head home." Mom needs to let her friend know how awful her sister's family was and that they are never welcome again. I wouldn't have made it through the weekend with such entitled strangers in my home. All that for your mom's friend's sister's son-in-law and his brother's family? And he hoped that was okay. No, it's not. How are people so rude? I was always taught to never arrive empty-handed. Not only did they show up with nothing, they expected basically a stranger to feed and house unexpected houseguests for days. Mom and dad need to learn a new word. The word is NO. Also, besides the never arrive empty-handed lesson, the other one was leave the place as good or better condition than when you arrived. I'd invoice them a bill for room and board, never mind housekeeping and such. I can't imagine ever doing this to someone who hosted me. We stayed at my partner's aunt's house for a few days, a mother-in-law suite. Brought food and gifts, took them to meals/got takeaway, and left the entire suite cleaned, sheets and towels washed and folded. As soon as your parents discussed that, they should have said no. I guess they have never wanted to return anywhere for a second visit. What a pack of hyenas. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.